This is the Mazz and Bads Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.
Folks, welcome into week 2 of the NFL season. Mazz and Bads Show, of course, episode 11. Can't believe it's been 11 episodes, Mazz. It does not feel like it's been that long, but here we are anyway. And let's just be frank. You kicked my ass this past weekend in terms of picks for week 1.
Yeah, well, Charlie, not everybody can just know football as much as your boy,
goodness.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I had a cigar right now, we'd light that up on you, right on you. But, dude, I had some swing games, and you know what? You chose a lot of opponents. I feel like that just, I took the home team, and that played a big factor into it. And then you took the Giants for whatever reason. I think it's just that you have that Sam Darnold hurt still in your heart that made you just not believe in him.
I like Sam.
Listen, you're hurt by him because it never worked out.
No,
you're hurt by the
not
Jets
hurt.
because the Jets still look like they're not working out. But you know what? It is what it is. I felt like you went with emotion and I went with logic, and it paid off in the end, my brother.
Well, emotion did work for me on the first game because I had Kansas City, you had Baltimore, and while we're going through it, we'll just list the ones you got on me. How about that?
Sure.
So yeah, as you said, I did pick the Giants to win against Minnesota. I picked the Falcons to beat Pittsburgh. They lost. Cleveland lost to Dallas. I did pick them. And then the primetime games, Sunday and Monday, I had the Rams and the Jets, and you of course had the Lions and the Niners. So
a lot of close games, not that Niners-Jets one, sorry, buddy, but a lot of close games.
We'll get there. We'll get there, okay?
Sure. But you know what? Let's start with that Ravens game. What a game. Good God, that was absolutely awesome. I have a problem with the refs in the NFL. Yeah. I have an absolute problem. I saw the Ravens get hit with that illegal formation so many times in that game when the right tackle for Kansas City was also lined up the exact same way. I think they called it maybe once or twice on him. And then every game of the week, you saw it basically called whenever they felt like it. And there were some teams that were I'm sorry, watching that Jets-Niners games, that illegal formation was the entire game for both sides. And nobody called it what are we doing? If you're going to make an emphasis of a new rule, right? And I get it. They want the tackles up on the line to stop getting that advantage for pass blocking and, but they've had that advantage for years, right? To get that little extra step because let's be honest, defensive ends and outside linebackers coming in on those blitzes, there's really nothing you can do unless you are an elite tackle without that space because those guys are just probably the most freakish of athletes in the game today. But if you're going to crack down on it, I want to see it across the board, not just when you decide to be hit with it. I think, honestly, I don't want to sound like that guy. I'm not a Ravens fan, but I really think that changed an entire part of that game. And if Isaiah Likely wore 2 inches less of a shoe, they probably would have won that game. But he was on the line.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough break for the Ravens and Isaiah Likely's foot there. It was the Kevin Durant 2.0 from that semi-finals series a few years ago with Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Shout out Ankafone, twice the pain on twice the same play.
Dude, he was not all right after that game. I'll tell you, he wasn't all right in the group chat.
No,
my man was hurting. I can't blame him though, right? I know that we bust him all the time, but that was one of those. I'm sorry, we cannot be giving KC home cooking calls when they cooked the NFL last year without a wide receiver core, and now their wide receivers are better, 3 times better than what they were working with last season. I'm afraid that they're coming again because they've gotten better. And if the NFL is going to put an emphasis on them, of course, because that could be the first three-peat in the Super Bowl era, right? Maybe ever. I don't know if anybody even pre-Super Bowl ever won 3 in a row. Don't matter though. Yeah, that's
I'm checking it real quick.
Yeah, I have no clue. I'd like to think that the Packers did or someone. Pre-merger?
No,
never happened.
The only time it happened was the Packers won the last NFL championship and then the first 2 Super Bowls. So I guess that's a 3-peat.
I'm counting that.
I'm counting that
3-peat.
Okay. All right.
How good am I to nail the Packers on that one?
Well,
I literally was just thinking of whoever was the oldest franchise ever.
Well, so
Thank God.
like technically speaking, they didn't actually three-peat because it wasn't like the first one wasn't a Super Bowl. But I'll still give it to you. I'll still give it to you.
I'm giving it to him. Yeah, I count ABA championships.
Okay.
When
Anyway,
you merge, you say that level of competition is on the level of our competition. So therefore, I'm counting those accolades. Now, I'm not going to gloat about those accolades because let's be honest, how many teams were even in the league? I couldn't tell you. It was under 20. So, but it is what it is.
For me, I mean, there were definitely some ticky-tack calls on the Ravens, especially on the offensive line, but I don't think it was enough to make the difference in the game. It's still, to me, Mazz, to your point, what you said earlier, the Chiefs have ran back the roster that they won a Super Bowl with last year and added speed to the receiver room. Xavier Worthy was a revelation. 2 touchdowns in his first NFL game ever. Absurd. You brought Juju Smith-Schuster back into the fold. Travis Kelce's still there, but you just gave Noah Gray an extension. The Chiefs are primed for another year to run it back and try and win the Super Bowl. And like you said, Mazz, the three-peat is within their grasp. All they have to do is not mess it up. There's a lot of games to go. There's a lot of football to be played. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, they should be the bona fide number 1 lock-on favorite to be winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And they got good news because I believe Rashee Rice's case isn't going to be going to court until next year, so they'll have him at least for, the bulk of the regular season.
Barring health, yeah. If he gets suspended, it won't be until next season.
Yeah.
Now, as for the Baltimore side of things, 2 things can be true, right? Lamar Jackson was the only thing keeping that offense going the entire game. He was the sole source of offense. I mean, Derrick Henry got a few carries in between there, but he wasn't all that productive.
I disagree with you.
Okay. And then
Isaiah likely balled out.
Okay, sure. I still think there was really not a lot of running game to work with. Like the Ravens were relying on Lamar Jackson's arm to win this game.
Yep.
Lamar also lost them the game with those 2 missed opportunities on that last drive. Before the likely catch that was ruled incomplete because his toe was on the line, he missed likely on a play two plays before that, and he missed Zay Flowers wide open in the back of the end zone. Lamar is a great quarterback, top 5 in the league right now. Josh Allen makes those plays. Mahomes obviously makes those plays. There's a lot of not a lot of quarterbacks, but there's a lot of elite quarterbacks who will make those plays in those situations. Lamar still has not reached that upper echelon for me yet.
So here's my problem with Lamar, and I don't want to sound like that guy who's like, "Oh, Lamar shouldn't have been a quarterback. He should have been a wide." No. He's absolutely should be a quarterback,
100%.
Right? But my biggest criticism of him has always been just the way that he throws the ball, like the accuracy. It's not the tightest spiral. It's not the best arm strength. And I looked at that play, and all I saw was, man, I wonder if Dak was in that same situation. I really think he hits that Zay Flowers throw. I think Josh Allen hits it. Joe Burrow, I think, hits it.
Matt Stafford hits it.
Absolutely. Aaron Rodgers, I think, hits it. There's a plethora of names in that exact same moment where I think they hit it. The question is, who would have gotten to that exact same moment? So you got to give him his flowers, no pun intended, even though he couldn't get his. Because he is a game changer, right? He is a playmaker, right? He is a all-star caliber player of the league, but he is a better football player than he is a quarterback. He is absolutely somebody that you have to, I think, the entire game plan needs to be for him because he's that deadly of a weapon by himself. He'll win you the game without any help. We've seen him do it for years, right? But throw for throw, there's just guys that I like better than him.
I think that's a valid point, and that's why I made it clear to say when I started my point that 2 things can be true: that Lamar was the sole reason that the Ravens were in that game in the first place, and also he cost them a chance to win it at the very end. But regardless, I think this isn't the last time we'll see these 2 teams play this year. They'll hopefully, probably, maybe at some point meet in the playoffs, but we'll see about that.
If you're a fantasy football owner of Mark Andrews, Are you concerned?
As a personal Mark Andrews fantasy owner, yeah, I'm pretty concerned. But like, it's always tough to overreact to week one because it's such a small sample size of what we haven't seen yet for the rest of the season. I would say anybody in fantasy or anything like that, you never want to overreact after week one. Just stay the course. Talk to me in October, and then we'll see where things are from there.
I got a problem with fantasy owners. Why does nobody ever want to make trades until it's too late? Everybody thinks that they are like the cream of the crop GM. I had this awesome draft. I'm sitting in the 6th spot of my league, and I'm actually going to end up going to first. No, you're not, buddy. All right? Look at everybody who has ever won your fantasy football league. There's been a crucial trade or waiver pickup that has absolutely changed the entire course. I know some guys whose rosters don't even look the same, and they're constantly in the finals of their leagues. I don't know what people are thinking. I tried making a Godfather offer last night, and it just didn't get done for reasons I don't understand. I was willing to give up Isaiah Pacheco, T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, and the Eagles' defense in exchange for the Cowboys' defense, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Joe Mixon. Now, listen.
I'll be real with you. I'll be real with you. I don't make that trade.
Bro, I'm telling you right now, I'm giving that guy 2 starting wide receivers when he needs it, because he's starting Tyler Lockett, who's not getting you any yards after catch because my man don't want to take a hit. Now, yes, you got to wait on T. Higgins, but even if T. Higgins gets traded, he goes from a number 2 on a really good passing offense when he plays and Jamar Chase plays, right, to potentially being a number 1, so his targets would have been going up. Yes, you're waiting on 1 week, maybe 2, for him to come back, right? Amari Cooper hit 1,000 yards, and there was no consistency at quarterback. I mean, Joe Flacco ended up playing for Cleveland last year, and Deshaun Watson, supposed to be their guy. Now he's there. I expect him to be a 1,000-yard receiver, too. And I'm giving you Isaiah Pacheco. Come on, a top 10 running back in the league. What are we doing?
I don't know. A trade like that would not probably move the needle for me whatsoever. But
you know what, buddy? You just break my heart. You break my heart. That's a Godfather offer. That's all I'm saying.
All right, moving onwards to the Friday night game from last weekend. Green Bay at Philadelphia. Philadelphia picked up a win. It was a shootout, similar to the night before in Kansas City. But Philadelphia, who we both picked, came out on top. And unfortunately for the Packers, they lost Jordan Love to an MCL sprain. He's going to be out for at least the next, I think they said 4 to 6 weeks.
They're saying that he's trying to come back for next week.
Yeah.
That's it, dude. Buddy, you don't need to. All right? We looked at what you had. You had some bright moments. This team has some holes in it, though. I think they're going to be just fine. They can afford for you to sit out 1 or 2 games. Make sure that you get healthy, right? Especially looking at it, Chicago did not look great. Minnesota looked great against a really bad Giants team. And then you have Detroit. You can afford to come in second place in this division. Make sure that he gets healthy. Rushing him back just does not make sense for me. Now, Malik Willis looked absolutely horrible when he came in, because all he had to do...
It was 2 plays. I mean...
Sure.
Oh, sorry. I thought I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just interjecting that he only did 2 plays. I don't think it's tough to say for the Packers that
Chucky, you're breaking up hard, buddy.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Can you hear?
All right. Do you remember where you left off?
Yeah.
All right, word. Go ahead.
Malik Willis didn't look great for me. I know it was only 2 plays, but he did the one thing that they couldn't afford in that situation. Get the ball off. If it's picked off, nobody blames you, right? Just get the ball off. Taking a sack there, dude, he just looked really incompetent on that play. And there was a big moment to try to make something happen, and he crumbled. And he didn't even get the throw off, which is the problem for me. I'm not saying that, they lose, it's on Malik Willis. Dude, you had the chance, and you didn't even get the ball into play is my problem. So, yeah, it's going to be a rough patch, I think. I don't think Jordan Love needs to play, though, because I think they're in a good enough position where they need to focus on somebody that they just invested a ton of money, and even before that, literally banked their entire future on letting Aaron Rodgers go. So focus on his health. Do not rush him back. And Green Bay is going to be okay. On the opposing side, Philly, Jalen Hurts didn't look great. Even that bad game.
Can I make one point on Green Bay real quick before we go to Philadelphia?
Go ahead.
So for the Packers, I'm with you. The roster seems good enough where they don't need to rush Love back. However, if you're serious about competing for the playoffs, competing for the division, I think what they need to do is they need to go out and get a veteran quarterback behind Jordan Love, because you got Malik Willis, who is one of the rawest quarterbacks we have ever seen in terms of development. This is, I believe, his third or fourth year in the NFL, and first with the Packers, he just got traded. Those first 2 years with the Titans, what you said, he always kind of looked incompetent out there whenever he was playing. It doesn't look like he knows how to play the quarterback position at a high level, at least not yet. He's got plenty of time to develop into that. But how do you not, as a Packers who already said that they're going to stick with Malik Willis and Sean Clifford as their backup quarterbacks, how do you not go out and give Ryan Tannehill a call, who's sitting on his couch right now, played for Matt LaFleur in Tennessee when he was the offensive coordinator there, and probably has a semi-decent grasp on the offense? Ryan Tannehill is going to give you a better chance to win football games than Malik Willis or Sean Clifford is. Sorry, Mazz. Go for the Eagles. What you're trying to say?
No. We'll stick on that. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like that, you get that veteran, you get that a guy who can maybe not elevate everybody around you, but can at least steer the ship,
execute the offense. Right?
Sure, and get the 2 to 3 wins while you get Love to sit back and get healthy. Like I know that they brought in Malik Willis because they see something, but they definitely weren't expecting him to be in this situation. Nobody ever prepares for injuries like that, but the best teams do have a backup plan because they prepare for everything. Now you never expect your starting quarterback to go down week 1, but you do have a situation here where you can bring in a veteran that knows your head coach very well, will know that offensive system to some extent because he's had some variation of it already in the past, and a guy who's been known to be able to play in tough situations, because let's be honest, he hasn't been on the cream of the crop franchises his entire career. Now, I do feel bad for Malik Willis because, you get drafted by Tennessee, you think that you're going to come in and be the new QB in town and end up taking the reins off the old man, and it's just never ended up really happening. They never had full trust in you. And for that to happen again with it being the same quarterback that, kept you from starting in the first place would really just be irony. And I feel for him in that situation. But the fact of the matter is this: you need to win games without Jordan Love right now. Him getting healthy needs to be priority 1. And I think that's absolutely how you fix it. I think you were on the money, my friend. And kudos to you for that point. For Philadelphia now, I think Jalen Hurts did not look good, and even a bad game for him is better than what most guys had this week, but I think Philly's offense is the real deal, and I would not be surprised if Saquon Barkley ends up being the offensive MVP for the season, because he actually looked amazing. This is everything that we thought Saquon was going to be. I know it's only one game, but you can just see there's other options to go to. They don't have to force feed him. The offensive line blocked like crazy and got him in some really good situations. I mean, this is what happens when you get elite talent with a competent franchise. I wish we would have been able to see Barry Sanders with a competent franchise. I wish we would have been able to see Megatron with a competent franchise. The list goes on of how many times somebody has been wasted talent because the franchise that they were around just couldn't get things around them, and the money was too good for them to leave.
Yeah, I think what you're seeing there is that when Saquon was on the Giants, the defensive game plan when you're playing the New York Giants was stop Saquon Barkley and you stop the Giants offense, and that was end of discussion right there. When it comes to his new situation with Philadelphia, the defense can key in on Saquon, but then Hurts is going to throw it up to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. And then the second you start playing back a little bit more to try and cover your ground in the pass game, that's when Saquon Barkley is going to score 3 touchdowns on your head. Yeah, the Eagles' offense is the real deal. I still have some concerns about the defensive side of the ball, as a few Packers plays where they just looked lost. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got juked up by Jaden Reed, but Philadelphia offensively is a juggernaut this year and will be going forward.
I also believe that they had like 3 to 4 injuries for that defense that I think definitely makes that difference, barring once they get healthy. But Philly's going to be fine, man. I mean, this is a franchise who knows how to build a team. I mean, even having to reset after last year, they come back that first game, punched them right in the mouth. It looked absolutely great from my end with it. And that's with their quarterback struggling, who we know is going to pick it up, you know? Philly is going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's for sure. So getting to the 1 o'clock slate games from Sunday, Cincinnati lost their home opener to the New England Patriots. Mazz, you and I both caught an L there, picking the Bengals, but I don't know how much of like a major shock this is. I know it's crazy that the Patriots, everyone thinks they were going to stink this year, but the Bengals always start slow every year. So I'm not. It's not time to start worrying too much about Cincinnati just yet.
No, T. Higgins didn't even play. And I really think if he did play, that it changes everything. It would have had Burrow somewhere else to go to. Like, the Patriots' defense definitely slept on, and they proved it there. The offense, it looked competent. It wasn't anything elite, I thought, you know, but they're going to be able to win some games against some lower competition, especially if they end up in those situations where a big player might not be playing. The defense, I think, is that good. They dominated the entire game, it felt like. However, is the offense going to be able to match that? I don't think so. I still don't think the Patriots are going anywhere. I still have them last in their own division, you know, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and then to your point with T. Higgins, even Jamar Chase hasn't really practiced much. This was his first game action of the season, and he hadn't practiced for the last month because of that hold-in situation. So they're only going to get better with their chemistry and timing as the season goes on. I think didn't last year they started like 1-3 or something like that, and they just kind of turned it around until Burrow got hurt.
Yeah. Didn't Burrow go down game? I thought he went down that Cleveland game.
It was pretty late. It was pretty late in the season. It was like week 10, week 11 when he went down.
Yeah. Oh man, he just did not have a good season.
Mm-mm.
You know, but it is what it is. I feel like Cincinnati, we are so in love with them just because of one run, because they have the elite wide receivers. Like, I don't think that they're going anywhere near a Super Bowl, right? I do think that Joe Burrow is a tad bit overhyped, you know, just because he has made good decisions. But when everything was firing for him, there was a little adversity last year. It didn't look great. I think Cincinnati, like, I'm not hitting the panic reset button. I'm saying that I think people either they sway to one side way too much of this team is not great, or I love Joe Burrow and he's going to be able to carry it, where it's like they are a middle of the pack team for me. They're on like that mid-tier. Like, I don't think they're on a different tier than Tampa personally right now. That's the exact same list that they're at, where I think that they're going to win some games. They're going to shock some people, you know, but I don't think they're going anywhere ultimately this season, personally. I think they are right in the middle, and we overhype them.
That's actually a really great comparison, Tampa Bay and Cincinnati. I mean, I still think Cincinnati is a slightly better team, but it's kind of the same blueprint there, where you got a veteran quarterback, you got two great veteran receivers, stingy defenses. I don't know. That's about all I got for you. But
you know, like, don't get me wrong. I definitely think, like, I like Baker. I think Joe Burrow is definitely the better quarterback. I think Jamar Chase is still the number one receiver if I put both teams together. But Mike Evans over T. Higgins for me. You know, Godwin and T. Higgins.
Yeah, it'd be Godwin and T. Higgins and Jamar and Mike Evans. That's your two combos.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if I had to, like, rank it, I think it would actually end up being, like, Jamar, Mike, Godwin, and T. Higgins are kind of the same guy for me, I feel like. You know, so I think it's a lot closer than people like to admit. And I think also just the divisions that they play in, I think balances it out, because Tampa's playing in that much weaker division down there in the NFC South. But I think those teams are going to end up looking like similar records for me.
I guess that remains to be seen. But going forward, we had just about every game of the Week 1 slate was like a one-score game besides the Giants and the Saints. But this one was a bit of a surprise. Arizona and Buffalo, that one went down to the wire, a one-score game all the way to the end. Buffalo did come out on top, but they had to run for their money, Mazz.
If Kyler Murray would have just been able to find Marvin Harrison Jr. just, once, it changes the game. I saw multiple clips where Marv was wide open on what would have been touchdowns and Kyler just not hitting it where he needs to be. Now, McBride, their tight end, looked really good, was bailing out Murray multiple times. But I just think Kyler needs to be better, and they probably win that game because, I'm sorry, Buffalo doesn't have much to work with. And the reason why they ended up winning that game is because Josh Allen decided, I'm going to, go Superman mode right here, and I'm going to actually use some new wide receivers, and they're going to get into some spots, and I'm just going to trust that they're going to make a play and let me put that ball in the position for them. And then when we're close enough to the end zone, I'm just going to take it myself because we need these touchdowns. So nothing has changed for Buffalo besides talent going down without Stephon Diggs being there, but I think they're still going to be competing just because of how good Josh Allen is and how his willingness to take risks normally pay off for him until it gets down later in the season in the playoffs, because everybody just has so much better scheming going on and really, really locking in instead of just thinking, this is just another weak game. But Josh Allen's superhero antics continue.
Yeah. He had a rough start to the game. He started like 2 for 7, had a fumble, but finished the game as one of the, just as the spark plug of the Bills offense. This game was a matter of the Bills, like were they going to wake up or not? Everyone knew they were the better team than these Cardinals. Not saying the Cardinals are bad because they played great football. I think they're set up to have a solid season. I think Kyler will get better. I think the Marv connection will grow stronger. But this game was always going to be about Buffalo either waking up and taking control of it or staying asleep and letting the Cardinals walk over them in their home opener. Josh Allen did not escape unscathed, though. He did injure his hand. He's questionable for Thursday night against Miami. But still, this was definitely one of the more fun watches of the weekend. Buffalo is going to be interesting to see who kind of breaks out as the number one receiver in that offense going forward. Is it going to be Keon Coleman? Could it be Mac Hollins? I know Curtis Samuel's still up there. I think Isaiah McKenzie. No. Khalil Shakur got a lot of targets, so it'll be interesting to see what goes on up there in Buffalo.
So I believe Shakur he did score, but I think he only had 3 receptions. They were just bigger yardage plays. Mm-hmm. I do think you're going to see Coleman rise to be the number 1 wide receiver personally.
It seems like and Josh Allen, I bet, wants to build that connection and rapport as early on as he can so they can have, a more profitable season going forward in terms of, connections and scoring points.
I feel like Arizona just really took away Dalton Kincaid too, so that was a game to target those 2 young wide receivers to try to get something going. I think a lot of teams are going to force them into that situation of just targeting on Kincaid, and I do see Coleman rising to the occasion. I mean, I know he was a later round draft pick. A later pick in the first round in that, those mid-20 spots. But I saw that kid at Florida State. I think he's really good. I think with Josh Allen, I've seen him work with way less talent. That kid's going to develop just fine, and I think there's going to be, by week 3 or 4, you're going to see that there is a true number 1 in Buffalo.
Staying in the AFC East, the Jacksonville Jaguars went to Miami to play the Dolphins. There were some hijinks and endeavors that happened pregame with Tyreek Hill and the Miami-Dade police force, but we'll stay away from that because that's a...
Oh, I'm jumping right into it. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
So we saw the video, right? I don't know, Tyreek looked like he wasn't complying a little bit, but for them to put out a statement where it was he visually looked like he was going 60 miles. Tell me how fast my hand's going right now.
I don't know.
Please tell me. You can't, because eyeballing that is dude, you're not eyeballing that. I'm sorry. If you had the radar gun and you hit him with it, and got the actual speed, sure, but you can't just be he looked like he was going 60. What does that even mean? That is such a fugazi statement where it's like, dude, I'm not saying that like Tyreek deserves special treatment because he's an NFL player. That I have concerns just as an American citizen. That is something like that is a statement that the entire country has been complaining about, those kinds of situations where it's like I am in a position of power and I'm going to use it when I don't have the best justification right now, just because I kind of saw that you look like you were going fast, where it's like, dude, he was in a fast car. That car is built for aerodynamics. I'm sure he was speeding a little bit, don't get me wrong, but don't sit there and be like, oh, he was going 60. Dude, you cannot pinpoint that at all, especially when that car is literally built to manipulate air to go a little bit, like, look to go faster. It's less resistant. Like, I'm just saying, you have no idea how fast he was going, right? So I'm not saying that they shouldn't have pulled him over, but don't hit me with a statement like, oh, we actually pinpoint that with the visual eye, because like I said, dude, I will walk up to you, throw anything past you, and you will not be able to tell me how fast that thing is going, let alone a supercar. Stop this.
Yeah. I'm with you there. The cops in all the videos seem relatively incompetent. I mean, I guess they were trying to follow their protocol, but whatever they were trying to do just escalated way too fast and way too aggressively, and it was a very unfortunate situation for everybody involved. For Tyreek, for Calais Campbell, who walked up just trying to de-escalate things and was put in handcuffs. Jonnu Smith pulled over to see what was going on, and the cops came up to him and said, "Give us your license, or we're gonna put you in cuffs too." It's just not a great situation, not a great look for all parties involved, and hopefully there's a resolution to it soon, and everybody is, everyone's taken care of.
I thought I did not have to identify myself unless, one, I'm being detained, or two, you were, hitting me with a charge for a crime. Like, just because I am around a situation and trying to de-escalate it, like, again, dude, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, stop this. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to be like, oh, I'm the end-all, be-all on the law, and I know absolutely every procedure. But, like, I do know that whenever we talk about cases, it's stuff like this that just, one, doesn't look good, two, people get frustrated over, and three, it could have been avoided at all costs. And for everybody else out there, like, for the love of God, I know that cops take advantage of situations. Now, just like you have good people and bad people, you got good cops and bad cops. I'm not even saying that these were bad cops. I'm saying that this moment did not look competent. And for the love of God, follow the directions, because we live in a day where somebody's going to be recording, and that is going to protect everybody. So even if they are telling you to do something that you know is wrong, follow it, because then when you come back around, you have the lawsuit, you have that protection, and that situation, although you're going to be taken advantage of in that moment, and it sucks, but you will be able to have, your day down the line with somebody recording. And with body cams and, these things all over the place, there's a really good percentage that you're going to be having the evidence that you need, So please, for the love of God, just follow the orders. And then if you feel that you were, taken advantage of down the line, dude, go back to the film and then get it in that secondary, so this way everybody's safe. Because when you try to test it right then and there, dude, they just have too much power of the situation. And like I said, dude, I want to shout out cops. They keep us safe. I'm not sitting here being like, oh, we need to get rid of all of them. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, for the situation, they do have the power, and everybody can go home that night. And I want everybody to go home that night. And if you really have a problem with it, and you're entitled for that, fight it afterwards, not right there in the situation, unless you're going to call a sergeant over, because, dude, I'm telling you right now, I don't want to be in that situation. I know I'd be definitely frustrated, especially, me, when I know I'm right, I get heated, so I can't even imagine how I would be in that situation. Right now, I got that clear head because my emotions aren't in it, but in that situation, yeah, I could absolutely see myself being put on the ground in cuffs, because I know that this is shenanigans.
Well, hopefully you wouldn't drop the ball in that case like the Jaguars dropped the ball in Miami, because they choked away that game real hard. Travis Etienne fumbles out the back of the end zone. What would have been a 14-point swing brings the Dolphins back into the game. Also, shout out my transition. Did you like that?
Oh, that was a good one, buddy. I liked it, actually. Dude, that play from the punch out, I can't even blame Etienne on that one. That was just Perfect. I mean, yeah, hold on to the ball. What are you going to say there? But,
Yeah.
dude, like, that was just a great play, and the cards just fell for the Dolphins. And Tyreek looked like he was playing with a purpose, so I don't know if that was just motive. I got to give it to him, man. I think I would have been a little shaken up. You know, to have that focus at your job after just dealing with that situation, impressive for me. Waddle left the game with they said to be a head injury and then ended up coming back in, so a little perseverance from there. And then, boom, let's hit it with it. Walk-off field goal for the win, baby. And Jacksonville's woes continue. I want to like this team so bad. I want to tell you that Trevor Lawrence is going to come along and really be an elite quarterback in this league. I want to tell you that Jacksonville is going to look competent and maybe actually compete for something, but it's just week in and week out, and I look at this squad, and it just feels like you underperformed again.
Can I give you a quick stat?
Sure.
After the Travis Etienne fumble, when the Jaguars were still up, I believe it was either 14-3 or 17-3. I want to say 14-3. Trevor Lawrence attempted one pass. On the last 3 drives after that fumble of the game for the Jaguars, they had 1 pass attempt, 7 rushing attempts, and 2 sacks.
Are you kidding me?
Trevor Lawrence was having a day. He was. He was playing good ball. He was slinging it across the field. He looked comfortable. And then Doug Peterson got nervous, got scared, crawled back into his shell, and said, "All right, we're just gonna run the ball, run the clock. Don't throw it. Don't throw the ball." That to me is where the Jags lost that game.
That is horrible. Absolutely horrible. I saw Daniel Jones throw multiple interceptions and absolutely have nothing to work with. They still tried throwing the ball because what else are you going to do? Like, we always talk about, like, managing, like, the clock and managing the game. You got to manage your players, though, too, and put them in a chance to succeed. You have talent, right? And their pass game should not be bad. They got some weapons there. Evan Ingram.
It looked solid in the first half.
You know, I don't know what we're doing, man. And I just feel like the Jaguars are never going to get somebody for that franchise that knows what the hell they're doing. And Doug Peterson, Dougie boy, you won a Super Bowl by hitting a Philly special, by taking risks, taking chances, not by managing the situation. Stop this.
All right, moving on to the shootout in Indianapolis. Houston Texans beating the Colts by a point. I think it was like 1 point or 2 points because it came down to the end. But the Texans escape with a victory, a divisional matchup that was a rematch of the play-in game from last year. And I got to say, these two quarterbacks, man, unreal. Dude, Stroud and Richardson, unreal.
We've said it here. Stroud is a great quarterback who also has a great team. I really like his head coach, and they have a really good defense, right? Defense got diced that game, though, because I firmly believe, and I will back this point up again, I think Anthony Richardson is going to be known as the best quarterback out of that draft class. Bryce Young's not in the conversation. It is between these two right now, and Anthony Richardson hung in there with less talent on the team, even though he's got a great halfback and a good wide receiver, but it is not the receiving core that C.J. Stroud has. It is Joe Mixon is no slouch at running back. All right, Anthony Richardson has way less going for him and hung in there that close. I absolutely loved the performance from him. However, Stephon Diggs changes games. And when he's put into a situation where he's actually happy, boom, you see what he can do. It's the same thing. You look at Minnesota. He bowled out in Minnesota, got a little disgruntled there, and then, they're like, okay, we got to get him out of here. Boom, ends up with Buffalo, right? Everything looks absolutely magic. He's balling out this and that. Starts getting pissed off. Starts having his little diva action. All right, that's it. We're done with him. Ship him out. We're going to get, pennies on the dollar for him from Houston real quick. And then everybody wanted to know, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, where's the ball going to go to? Is Stephon Diggs going to be iced out? People didn't want to draft him. But listen, time in and time out. Even when you have rising stars, when you have somebody that has been consistent in being an elite player in this league like Stefon Diggs, maybe never the best wide receiver in the league, but you've always had him around that top 5 area, you're gonna go to him, especially if you're in your second year in the NFL, because it's like, dude, I know what this guy has. I can even force that ball a little bit to him because he's capable of making that play. I actually think Stefon Diggs' stock is going to continue to rise. And for fantasy owners, I think it's going to absolutely be a safety blanket for CJ Stroud when times get tough, because we saw it right then and there. Game 1, they're not supposed to have chemistry. They have not played an entire season together like the other two played with them. And he said, Stefon, right now, buddy, bail us out. And he did.
Yeah, Stefon Diggs definitely had a great game, but for me, the difference maker for Houston was Joe Mixon. He had a fantastic game on the ground, 125 yards rushing. I think he had a touchdown or 2. I think maybe just one. But that was the dimension to the offense that Houston was lacking last year. CJ Stroud is able to make all the throws on the field you want. He's able to dice any defense up just like that with his arm. But the problem the Texans had last year was their lack of run game. Joe Mixon brings that element of ground and pound and able to control the clock to this team that they were lacking, and it makes them even more dangerous. Now, on the other side, Anthony Richardson. I agree with you. His physical tools are out of this world. The first touchdown pass where he was getting swarmed off his back foot and slung it up 60 yards in the air to Alec Pierce in perfect stride was unreal and outrageous. He still struggles with the intermediate stuff. His game right now is hit the layups, make the boomer bust plays. He's not going to be dicing you up the way a CJ Stroud can in the intermediate game and the sideline throws. Not saying he won't get there, because he totally can. He has all the tools and everything at his disposal to get to that point. But right now, Stroud is still the more polished passer, and I think that's going to be the case for the rest of this year. But going forward into the future for the next 10 years, this is going to be the battle of the AFC South between Stroud and Richardson.
Well, I think you're looking at the two different archetypes of quarterbacks, right? Where you have big playmakers and you have guys that can manage the situation very well. You know, I'm not saying that CJ Stroud isn't ever making plays, but I definitely think you're going to see Anthony Richardson throughout his career play more of a Josh Allen type of ball, where it's, dude, I have this big arm, right? And we need some magic right now because we don't have the perfect roster. And I'm going to be rolling the dice a lot more than CJ Stroud has to. Where CJ, it's just kind of like, dude, just don't mess up. Make those easy throws. And then when you see your time to take a shot, they can work up to it. Where it's like, okay, we're getting a little bit here. We're out scheming them there. And now that we added in this run game, which I think is benefiting just from the elite talent at wide receivers, Joe Mixon gets disrespected far too much, right? But I also don't think that he's having that kind of a day without them having that much attention downfield that they can be burned at any second. Especially RPOs, I feel like, have changed the game when it comes to it. I'd like to see Houston even use more of those kind of plays, just because there is so much talent out there. You know, I think CJ Stroud is absolutely smart enough to make those reads. He came in probably the smartest guy in the draft, being game ready. Everybody loved him in the film room, loved the reads that he was capable of making before he got to the NFL, right? Let's use that even more, because that's going to open up the run game even more. Everybody's thinking about the pass game, where the run game, it is an afterthought, but you're going to have to focus in on it because Joe Mixon is capable of having big plays, and he's a guy that's been slept on far too long in this league, right? But when it comes down to it, they're able to put him in these situations more than the Colts, these situations of success and for winning, and we're going to build up to this big play, where the Colts, on the other hand, are going to be like, hey, buddy, we kind of need you to make some magic right now because we got nothing going, you know? Because the second you stop the run game with the Colts, it's going to get a little hard for him. Because Taylor is such a big part of that offense, right? And Richardson is magic, but I'd love to see him with the wide receiver core that CJ Stroud is, you know, privy to right now.
I'm sure the Indianapolis offensive situation will only get better as the years go by. They do have some talent on there on offense. Michael Pittman's a good receiver, nowhere near the level of a Stephon Diggs or even a Nico Collins for that matter, in my opinion. Alec Pierce showed some flashes, but Adonai Mitchell also had some great routes. He was open a couple times, and Richardson just a little bit overthrew him. But I think regardless, like I said earlier, these two teams, whenever they play from now on, and those two quarterbacks are starting, it's going to be a classic.
This is the new age of quarterback right now. I mean, we are seeing the old guard start to fade out, you know? Aaron Rodgers ain't going to be around in 2 to 3 seasons. Sorry, buddy. Russell Wilson, not going to be around probably 2 to 3 seasons as well. You know, maybe 4 if he really wants to push the limit. But the guys that we are used to balling out, the guys that we've talked about that are, you know, oh, they're going to be in a Super Bowl, we're not going to be talking about that much longer. And they're not even going to be suiting up much longer. So this is the new generation. I think these are two guys where you've seen guys taken in the first round as early as them, and it's not going to work out. These two are here to stay, absolutely. And hopefully Bryce Young can get something going on with Carolina where he can be in that conversation too. But there's a big difference between not only their situations, but the talent being shown. And I will bank my entire house that in 6 years, both of these guys will still be dominating in the NFL. I think they're getting on the right track. I think their pups becoming dogs, and the dog is coming out in them.
So going on to the first loss on my part in terms of the picks, we have the Vikings at the Giants. I had the Giants, as I said before. Mazz, you had the Vikings. And let me just start with this. Do you remember why I picked the Giants last week? Remember my handbars?
Yeah.
So my whole theory behind a Giants win was the Vikings' offensive line is not great. The Giants' defense is going to be good this year. They have some dogs up front on the defensive line. Secondary is questionable, but the linebackers are good. The Giants' defense did not show up on Sunday. Dexter Lawrence had a solid game.
Where was Kayvon?
Kayvon Thibodeau, ghost. Brian Burns, ghost.
I'm still looking for him.
I don't know what happened, but they just decided maybe they saw the offense, struggle on the first couple drives, and they said, you know what, we're not winning this game with what we got going on over here. We're just going to mail it in for the rest of the game. Hey, we got the Commanders next week, whatever. The Giants absolutely should be embarrassed and ashamed of that performance they put on the field on Sunday. Everyone knew the offense was going to struggle. That was one of the worst kept secrets in the league in training camp. They looked horrendous. They got nothing besides Malik Neighbors. Nothing. And the defense didn't do their part. Sam Darnold looked like I don't even know. He looked like a great quarterback. He was dicing them up. Sam Darnold, his MetLife homecoming was looking fantastic against this Giants defense that was supposed to be good this year. And I just, shout out Sam Darnold, man. I hope he has a great year and he sticks on somewhere next year as a starter because we all know this is J.J. McCarthy's team. But I hope he gets the Baker Mayfield trajectory that he deserves.
Sam Darnold, if he plays his cards right, is going to be the next Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, okay.
Teams are going to need him. It's not going to be anything sexy. It's like he's proved in that game to me, just give me something to work with and I can steer a ship. I know it was only one game and a small sample size, but the fact of the matter is he was away. This is a brand new team, a brand new system. It's not like he hit the Justin Jefferson button every time. Like he just looked like, hey, I'm just not going to overthink this. I'm going to go out there and just play solid football. Now, they do have a good running back, and you saw him have some moments there, even with that horrible offensive line. But when you have a running back like Jones that can take that pressure off you, it's going to open up some things. That defense for the Giants was out there far too often. I don't think this was we're just going to go lick our wounds and prepare for next week. I think this is, we can't get a breather out here because this offense is going 3 and out every damn time. My favorite stat that I've seen for the week since signing his contract, that big money contract that Daniel Jones got, he has officially thrown more pick sixes than he has touchdowns. Now, I am the biggest Daniel Jones hater in the world. There's nobody to throw to. There's a rookie wide receiver. past years, there hasn't been anybody. They've had wide receiver talent of, oh, this guy is going to be good. He could be the next Victor Cruz. He could be, really consistent for it. Nobody ever breaks out for them. They haven't broken out in years. The only thing on that offensive side of the ball was quite literally Saquon Barkley. Even when they got a good tight end in Darren Waller, nothing was working for him. They're using him to help pass block half the time because the offensive line is literally Swiss cheese. There's so many holes in the damn thing. It got to a point where Vikings players have come out and said, we actually felt bad for the opposing quarterback. And, dude, Van Ginkel, that pick was absolutely insane. Coming off the edge, Daniel throws it, and he literally just absorbed it into him. There was a lot of heat on it. There's just plays were being made because they had the confidence, is what I believe. Because I'm not sold on that Vikings defense. I'm not even necessarily sold on the Vikings offense. I just think that, hey, it is what it is in terms of the Giants. They're a bad team. I don't think the Vikings are going to be great. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be able to steer some ships. Going to get through some rough waters. But the fact of the matter is this. The Giants have not figured it out. They're not going to figure it out as long as they decide to keep on rocking with a similar core. Saquon leaving was much needed. But you can't just let him walk. You gotta get something for him.
Yeah, they let him walk and then didn't replace any. Who were they gonna funnel their offense through? Daniel Jones? That was your big idea?
Singletary? That was it? Are you kidding me? Dude, you cannot let these guys, even with the Bills, right? I think that they got robbed in the Stephon Diggs trade personally for the talent that he brings, but I know he's been a headache. But the writing was also on the wall. We don't have much control here, and we need to let him go because he is going to walk because we've reached that point. If you did not think that you were at that point with Saquon Barkley, anybody in the world would be frustrated. Why would I pick up the same paycheck when I can get paid from another team and take half the stress, take half the hits that you're making me take right now? Because there's nothing else. They have continued to look incompetent, right? Drafting hasn't worked out for them. Hopefully Neighbors does, but drafting has not looked great. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau was supposed to be the next great thing. Has not worked out. Offensive line, nothing is looking great. I looked at Evan Neal, I went, holy hell, that is a monster. Hasn't really looked great, So it's not just Daniel Jones, as much as I would love to tell you, because I just don't think he is a starting caliber quarterback. I don't think he makes great decisions. I don't think the arm talent is really there. It's the entire franchise, right? They've made some good moves on defense, but, dude, when your offense is that bad, the defense is going to be swarmed. This is already a game that favors the offensive side of the ball, man. And the Giants have to fully blow it up, and I don't know what the hell they've been waiting for.
Well, there's still 16 games to go until the Daniel Jones experiment comes to an end. But until then, he will be the starting quarterback for the Giants this season.
How do you not throw Tommy Cutlets in there is my question, too.
I don't know, man. He's QB3. He's behind Drew Lock.
He won games with that team that Daniel Jones did not win. Or Drew, dude, I'm just saying, what you have in Daniel Jones, or Drew Lock, right? I completely forgot he was there. My apologies to Drew Lock. Go see what you got. You know what this is. It's nothing. You overpaid it. Shout out his agent, because Daniel Jones got a contract he should have never have ended up with in the damn first place. But I'm not going to hate a man for getting paid. Congratulations, dude. You are set for life, and I congratulate you. But you're not a starter. You have other things on this bench that, hey, maybe they can work for you. You might as well find out, because you're going to go find somebody in the draft anyway. So you might as well see who's usable, because week in and week out, Daniel Jones does not do anything. Tommy Cutlets, same team, has won a game. Tyrod Taylor, even though he ended up getting injured, same team, won a game. Replaced Daniel Jones and did better in that game than Daniel Jones was doing. Go figure out what is on the goddamn bench, because what do you have to lose? You gotta tear down the damn temple anyway, because it's nothing, nada, trash. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Wholeheartedly agree. All right, Mazz, we're going to start skipping around a little bit because we're already an hour into this podcast, and we're not even halfway done with the Week 1 slates. You cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about, we'll go to the next game. Tennessee at Chicago was an interesting, no?
Quick notes on that one.
Quick notes on that one?
Absolutely. They got to learn to use Cole Kmet. That passing game looked absolutely horrendous. Thank God their defense and special teams rose to the occasion because, quite honestly, I think Tennessee let that game slip from them.
Yeah,
horrible
100%.
Interception from Will Levis just trying to shovel past that one out of bounds. Tennessee should have won that one, and some lucky breaks went. And I'm not saying that I'm worried about Caleb Williams, but it did not live up anywhere near to what I thought that offense could be and should be.
100%. I was expecting a lot more out of them. If it wasn't for the special teams and the defense of the Bears, they would have lost that game, just like you said. But I think the Titans head coach Brian Callahan had a great quote in the fourth quarter. If they had just punted on 1st and 10 on those last 2 possessions, he said that he won. That's a quote. They would have won the game, and it's true. It's true. Will Levis cost them that game. Yeah. Should have been a win for the Titans, but Chicago escaped with the W. As we said last week, Caleb Williams is the first overall pick to win his first home start since 2002. Moving on to Pittsburgh at Atlanta. Mazz, I gave you an out Sunday morning when they announced that Justin Fields would be starting for the Steelers. I said, hey, you can switch your pick if you want. I'll allow it. I'll allow it because you picked the Steelers, I picked the Falcons, and you said no. I'm sticking with Justin Fields and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it paid dividends for you, Mazz.
To be fair, you're giving me too much credit. I said if I lose this game, I'm just going to be bitching the entire time because I made this pick with Russell Wilson and all this thing. I would love to sit here and tell you that I have balls of steel and all this, but it literally was just I have faith in that defense. It's an elite defense. I like the Atlanta Falcons historically as a franchise. I'm a Michael Vick guy. And I'm a Pitbull lover. We all know what happened, but that's my favorite quarterback in NFL history. I like that franchise. If I wasn't a Cowboys fan, I'd either be a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan or an Atlanta Falcons fan, to be completely honest with you, just because I just like both franchises like that. I know, same division. Mazz, what are you talking about? I'm just saying I'd choose one of them.
Sure.
But I do not have any faith in what's rocking with Atlanta right now. I'm sorry. Look at Drake London last year. 17 games, couldn't crack 1,000 yards. I know there was nobody throwing the ball to him, but come on, dude. I don't think he's as good as people are saying he is. Kyle Pitts actually looked like he got used for once in Atlanta's offense, and that was great to see, but he's still someone that there's question marks around. Can he be elite? We don't know. I did not see Kirk Cousins coming in there and gelling right off the rip because, let's be honest, has a bit of an injury history. He's a little older. He's going down in talent in terms of wide receiver. Major drop-off. Drake London's not horrible, but he is nowhere near the talent that Justin Jefferson was. I just didn't like anything rocking with them besides Bijan Robinson, which they got into the game way too late. And that's the workhorse right there. He's young. No injury history. It's okay if you run him into the ground just a little bit when you need big moments, The defense that comes from the Steelers is a problem because there's eliteness all over the place. TJ Watt is the best defender in the entire damn league, and people need to start acknowledging that. That's including Myles Garrett. That's including Micah Parsons, who I'm a giant fan of both. But TJ Watt, when he plays, quite literally makes the difference for the Steelers. I like Mike Tomlin as a head coach. This was a just way too brand new situation versus, hey, this is essentially what we got. Even Justin Fields is better than Kenny Pickett, who they had starting last year. It was just a better situation for the Steelers, regardless of whether it was going to be Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. It was just how much better it was going to be, my friend.
Yeah, I think the first point you made hits the nail on the head. The Steelers' defense won this game. Justin Fields made enough plays to put the Steelers in a position to win. They didn't score any touchdowns. They won off field goals. And then for the Falcons, yeah, Kirk did not look great. He was immobile. I don't know how much you watched of that game, but whenever he had the ball in his hands in the pocket, he was just either getting it, like throwing it before he could get touched, because he couldn't move. He could not move, and it's very concerning because the Falcons just gave him this big long-term contract. I think at a certain point, they have Philadelphia next week. They have the Chiefs the week after that. Do you think about putting Michael Penix in there at any point if Kirk's mobility doesn't come back to him?
Absolutely. I'm giving Kirk one more game, and if it looks that bad as it did, yeah, we can absolutely talk about putting Penix in there. Why not? You're trying to compete. You went all. You said we're trying to go all in right now with a young core. I think Penix is going to work out better for this team if I'm being completely honest with you. All right, because Penix elevated talent when he came from Washington. I mean, this is a guy who bounced around NCAA football and ends up finally when there's something to work with. I get to a natty. Now coaching had a factor. They had Roma Dunze and, some good pieces. But the fact of the matter is Penix's play is what got them as far as it did. Kirk, I'm sorry, it's trending down. This is another guy who we think could be a good guy. I think a great quarterback, right? And he's always been middle of the pack for me. Even in his best years, I don't think he was making great throw after throw. I think there was just something to work with that is going to elevate me. Because that's what I saw in Minnesota. He ain't do nothing for me when he was playing with Washington.
I think at Kirk's best, he was borderline top 10.
Sure. But I think that happened because of who he was playing with. I don't think... Everybody told me for years, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, the same guy. What are you watching? I'm sorry. Stop this right now. Kirk's trending down. And that's age, that's injury history, all piling up. You gotta go take a new shot there for me. I'm sorry. I have Tampa winning that division for a reason. I'm the only one that didn't jump on the Falcons train as much as I really wanted to. And I'm going to continue to not jump on the train because it did not look like it was even on the tracks. It didn't leave the damn station. They're still packing the train, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because they don't know who's going to be the conductor.
All right, moving on to two more NFC South teams. The Panthers got a shellacking from the Saints in the Superdome on, I believe it was the 50th anniversary of the New Orleans Superdome, so that was a very, very poetic performance from the Saints. Still doesn't move the needle for me. I think a lot of teams are going to beat up on the Panthers this year. I want to see the Saints play a real team, and they'll play the Cowboys next week. That'll be a really great litmus test for them. I still think the Saints aren't going to be good this year, regardless of how they perform this week. And Bryce Young stinks.
There's nothing to work with.
Okay. There's nothing to work with.
Yep.
Bryce Young stinks. I'm sorry, man. A guy of his frame and size was never going to work out in the NFL. I don't know where the consensus first overall pick for him came from. He doesn't have an arm like Kyler Murray, and he's maybe like an inch taller, but skinnier than Kyler Murray. Kyler's got some thickness to him at least. He got some meat on the bone. Bryce Young was missing layups. He couldn't stat pad when the Saints were up 40 points. This guy is not cut out for the NFL, and the trade that the Panthers made to acquire that first overall pick with the Bears set their franchise back 5 years.
I would love to push back on you right now because he does have nothing, right? But you're not wrong, buddy. You're really not wrong. I'm sorry. I'll tell you what they were seeing. An Alabama scheme that made him look better than he really was. The fact of the matter is I hate Alabama quarterbacks when it comes to drafting for the sole fact of they have so much talent around them that when you get to the next level, you're going to be a higher draft pick and you're going to have less talent than the other teams are working with. So I whenever you see an elite team in college football, I'm not talking about elite quarterback over, showing what the team is capable of. I'm saying a team that is elite and a quarterback's along for the ride. And that's what I always feel like happens, whether it was Tua, whether it's Bryce Young, whether it was Mac Jones. The only reason why Jalen Hurts isn't in that category is because he went to Oklahoma and decided to actually ball out again. All those other guys, they came in and they managed situations but it's a lot easier to manage the situations when the weapons that you got are 10 times better than what the opposing team has. You go in that high round, it's just not going to work out for you because you're going to these bottom franchises that are looking to reset and rebuild. And I'm sorry, Bama quarterbacks aren't the way to go. And I don't think they're going to be. Milroe's not even going to change my mind on it because I still think that they got that much talent on Alabama right this second. They're that good of a college program. As far as the Saints, Derek Carr looked pretty good, but again, playing against nothing. I'm not sold on anything yet. I know the Raiders wish that Derek Carr was still playing for him after the way that he looked, but once again, Carolina has no clue what they've been doing since Cam Newton left. And that's been years ago. And then the one thing, the glaring star, was Christian McCaffrey. And even trading him isn't going to be able to get all the pieces that you needed. Because everything isn't working. You let go of Burns. Anything on the defense, anything that looked good, DJ Moore, they got rid of everything that could have been something. Because we're going to go in on a quarterback. Why? What's the point of going in on a quarterback when you have nothing for him? Even Jonathan Brooks, who I wanted for the Cowboys, isn't going to be playing for the first 4 games. So your new workhorse running back isn't even there. They have nothing, right? Because they don't know how to rebuild. I'll give you the steps to rebuilding your franchise right now. It starts with the damn offensive line, because if you got no blocking, nothing's going to work out. I don't give a damn who you have. It starts with getting a good defensive line. It starts with working on your secondary. It starts with acquiring targets, and then you can hit your crown jewel at quarterback, but you got to give the quarterback something to work with, not just put him in here. Here's the gem, but there's no mantle. It's just floating there, unprotected. Anybody can come in and rob it. Come on.
I don't know what else there's to say about that, but we'll keep it moving. I feel bad for both those teams, honestly. They're kind of just like, what's the word I'm looking for? They're kind of stuck in a rut, I think. I think both teams are, yeah, they're in purgatory.
No, they're in hell.
Okay, they're in hell.
Like,
they are in hell.
Because there's nothing going to be going their way. Like, the Saints are in purgatory. Carolina's in hell, right? And I'm not, like, condemning them or anything. I'm just saying, like, there's literally nothing good everywhere you look around. They have to rebuild and continue to rebuild. There's no foundation. They haven't even poured the concrete yet. It's not like the concrete's not settling. Yeah. The concrete hasn't been poured. They missed the spot.
For sure.
The Saints, dude, come on. I mean, there's injury just waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Stop it. They're not going anywhere. Dallas is going to run through them next week.
All right. You'll have plenty of time to make your pick in a little bit, but Moving on to the next stinky young quarterback. Broncos at Seahawks. Bo Nix's first game. He looked horrendous. Anytime he threw it past the line of scrimmage, it was either inaccurate or dangerously close to being intercepted. The only thing he was able to do was do like screen passes and like laterals, and he just did not look good. The Seahawks needed a half to wake up the offense. They looked pretty rough in the first half, but once things got going in the second with Geno and Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, everything was flowing smooth. The only thing that really kept the Broncos in that game was the Broncos' defense.
For sure. But as I said, Bo Nix shouldn't even be starting. Because, once again, you've poured the concrete if you're Denver. You got to let it settle. You have 2 guys that are there to take the hits. This offense isn't great. The offensive line is not great. There's no reason for Bo Nix to even be in this situation. I don't know what they're really doing personally. Everybody said, oh, nope, let's forge him by fire. Mazz, I disagree with you. That's fine, but you took him in the first round. That tells me that you have a lot of faith in this guy. You know, give him some, put him in a good situation to work out with. Not hey, we're going to go to Seattle and, good luck playing in that environment with this offense that we got going for you. Oh, by the way, we also traded Jerry Jeudy, so we're even worse in the passing game than we were last year. Thank you.
All right, Raiders at Chargers. Chargers picked up a win in Jim Harbaugh's first game. The run game looked strong. J.K. Dobbins had a fantastic game, his first back from his Achilles injury. The Raiders looked pretty rough. Gardner Minshew didn't look too great. Devontae Adams was doing his best to get open, but this Minshew cannot get the ball to him consistently enough. And Jim Harbaugh, as I said, got his first win as the Chargers head coach.
Thank God I didn't go with the Raiders. I wanted to. If they were home, I honestly think this game could have went either way. on any day. You know, I don't think the Chargers look that great.
I'll be honest with you. It sounded like a Raider home game. All those Los Angeles Raiders fans were packed into SoFi Stadium.
Sure. I just think that this is a game where I don't think if they play 10 times that they're winning every time. You know? Like, it was still close. Both these teams, again, going nowhere. I think the Raiders desperately need a quarterback. You know? I'd go out and get Ryan Tannehill, honestly, because he's better than anything that you got rocking right now. The fact that McConnell ended up getting beat out by Gardner Minshew told me everything I need to know about him, because Gardner Minshew quite literally is this generation's Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right? He's never going to win you nothing. It's not going to go in your favor, and it is what it is. On the other side, I know you have a lot of faith there. They are still going to struggle, even with Dobbins, even with Herbert, even with having a really good offensive coach. They're going to be fine. Now, listen, I know what you're saying. Mazz, they really didn't struggle. I'm saying they're not winning nothing this year, right? It's only going to get harder from here because the Raiders are not a great franchise. They got some really great pieces, but again, you could talk about rebuilding and getting a fire sale with them if they wanted to, but they're not going to.
All right, next up, the Cleveland Browns took a beating from the Dallas Cowboys at home on Sunday around 4 o'clock. Tom Brady's first game in the booth. He was absolute NyQuil there. Besides the point, Cleveland looked absolutely horrible against the Cowboys. Deshaun Watson on that offense could not move the ball one lick. And the Cowboys, Dak looked, he looked okay, but you got to remember that they were doing this against the number one defense in the NFL last year. And there wasn't a lot of changeover, so they should still be in that upper echelon of defenses. And Dallas, the offense at least, still hung 24 points on them, I believe.
Yeah, listen, that defense for Dallas really neutralized anything that Cleveland was working with. When you pay guys like CD, like Dak, you get them happy, it's going to work in your favor. Did Dak have an elite game? No. But he went in, Cleveland went against a great defense and did enough to get the win, right? CD had some moments. I don't think he even ended up scoring a touchdown, but whatever. I'm glad that CD didn't score and we still won a game because that forced them to use a Brandon Cooks, who I've been waiting to start actually getting some damn targets and get open. We saw a little bit towards last season, and finally it happens here. I wanted to see the run game. I wasn't that disappointed in it. It looked all right. I'm happy with it. I'm not ecstatic. I really hope that they can just keep doing what they did. I know the offense is going to get better because there's going to be easier competition to play against, right?
That's what I was going to say. It's a tough litmus test when you're playing that good of a defense to see how good they're going to be this year.
Yeah, no, I was happy with everything. I wasn't expecting a giant offensive boom. If anybody did, dude, you got to know what you're playing with. The bigger question mark is, should Deshaun Watson even be starting for Cleveland?
Yeah, those Browns fans were clamoring for Joe Flacco on Sunday because he looked horrendous, man. He was missing everything.
Do you know another allegation came out against him?
Yes.
Dude, I'm sorry. Everywhere you turn, he is just cancerous for this franchise. They should have never got rid of Baker, right? They should have kept Joe Flacco. Paying him all that money to not even... He hasn't done nothing. Dude, this is a league where you can't take years off and then try to come back. It just doesn't work. I don't know what it is, but nobody has ever taken significant time off and been able to come back and dominate the way that they had. Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, it ain't it.
It's tough to say about Baker Mayfield if where would he be if the Browns had not moved off him? Who's to say he didn't need the rejection in Cleveland and the struggle in Carolina to become the quarterback he's become in Tampa Bay, which is also a great transition to our next game. Buccaneers picked up their first win of the season over the Commanders and Jaden Daniels in his first start, and Baker balled the hell out. He had a hell of a game, and
I love it.
And to continue what I was saying, I don't think it's possible to know for sure that this Baker we're seeing right now with the Buccaneers is the Baker we'd be seeing in Cleveland. I think this situation is perfect for him. It was tailor-made for him. He's grasped the opportunity with two hands. He's not letting go. And him and the Buccaneers are going to be a formidable tandem for the next couple of years.
Yeah, they are.
Maybe not be elite, but they're always going to be a tough out. Always.
Listen, I hate to be that guy, but I started that train, baby. And I love it because not only has it left, and it's flying down the tracks. All right. Now, of course, there's only so far up the mountain it's going to make it, but it's doing exactly what I expected it to be. And I'll tell you right now, I think if he was in Cleveland with Amari Cooper and Nick Chubb, I think he'd be just fine, personally. I know Chubb didn't play, and Jerome Ford even looked good, but I'm just saying that Baker, when he has something to work with, him and OBJ just had bad chemistry. They hate each other. I don't know what happened there. And OBJ wasn't damaged goods, but definitely, like, teams had soured on him when he joined. You know, Jarvis Landry declined since he got there. I'm not blaming Baker for that. I think Baker right now proved that even before the adversity came, he was already facing adversity being in Cleveland. He played an entire season with them with a torn labrum, right? Literally a tear in the shoulder, and he plays the entire season for you. He's a dog. He's a guy that wants to go out and play and win football games. I think Mike Evans is the same kind of guy. Chris Godwin looked good. Everything is clicking. Chemistry matters, and I think Tampa has it, baby.
They definitely do. I still want to see him play against some tougher competition. The Commanders are a team that is in year one of a total reset, rebuild. So let's see who they got next week. We'll get to that momentarily. I actually don't want to say that one out loud just yet because that's going to be a great game next week. But moving onwards, the Rams went back to Detroit. Matt Stafford went back home to the Lions. He had a tough game. I mean, he was slinging that thing, but he got hurt early on. He got his ankle caught up, and that was kind of hindering him for the rest of the game. The Rams as a whole got really banged up that night. They lost 3 offensive linemen. One is on injured reserve. 2 are questionable for next week. Puka Nacua, he's going to be put on IR. He's out for at least the first month of the season. But regardless, the Rams did what they could. Cooper Kupp got fed, but the Lions were too much for him.
He had a feast. I loved it. I'm a fantasy guy with Cooper Kupp. I love it. Patting them stats, baby. It was a hell of a game to watch, though. I went into overtime. I was a little confused by the rules because I thought, I know come playoffs, both teams are going to have a shot, but the graphic that I saw on the screen made it seem like we were going to get both teams to have a shot, and then all of a sudden Detroit scores up. That's the end of the game, and I was like, what the hell? Like,
yeah, I wanted to see Stafford get one last shot, you know?
Yeah. You know, they got to go to college rules with that, if anything. Like, I don't know what we're doing with this new kickoff. I'm not a fan of it, but I am a fan of overtime rules come playoffs, and it's a much-needed change that I think we need in the regular season. Screw ties. Let's get everybody a chance to get after it. Like, dude, you've already made it so hard to play defense in this league, so now we're going to go into a sudden death? That's just dumb.
I think what the NFL wants is the regular season games to not be any more extended than they have to. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think they want the games to last 80, 90 minutes. Of course, come playoffs, it's different because you need a winner of these games, whereas in the regular season, you can live with a tie. You know what I mean? But going over to the Lions, I had a couple questions about some of the coaching decisions from Sunday night. David Montgomery was killing it on the first couple drives, and then for some reason, second, third quarter, and the first 10 minutes of the fourth, they went away from him. They exclusively were using Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. And then what happened on the last drive of the game? What happened in overtime? They fed Monty, and it led them to the win. I'm not sure why they went away from him so fast, especially because he was working early on. But whatever made him go away from it, it was reversed. They went back to him, and it won him the game.
Kind of like that they did it, though, to be honest with you. And
Why?
Again, I have Monty on my fantasy team. I want to see him get fed. I just think that you see so many guys where it's like they have a legitimate tandem up there in Detroit. Not many teams can say that, where their second running back is on par with their first running back. Use a balance. Let one of them, here, you get the first half, we're going to really rev you up. Second half, we're going to come back with him, keeping them both fresh. And then, boom, if we need it, let's hit that. I don't want to see them run one into the ground and then switch to the other one. Manage the situation. Use the talent that you have. Now, I think that they could have used it a little better, right? Where, like, you still want to keep your guys hot and fresh, but I have no problem with them taking touches. I just want to see them manage that situation better because it's going to work out completely fine with them. Imagine when you're constantly getting hit by a quality halfback that isn't slowing down because he can get the breaks.
Yeah, we also saw a couple. Dan Campbell went away from his aggressiveness a little bit. We saw him punt on a couple 4th and 1s, not necessarily pinned deep in their own territory, but on like the 30, 40-yard line. I feel like last year's Lions probably would have gone for it in those situations, but I think it seems like Dan Campbell's kind of reeled it back in a little bit after what happened in the NFC Championship game last year that cost them a trip to the Super Bowl.
I think it's smart, though. Last year's Lions, young, hungry, let's see what we got. Let's run through every wall. This one, okay. Hey, maybe we should have climbed over some of those walls instead of running straight through them. He gets better. The team still look good. He gets better in managing situations. This is an already elite team that can be elevated into a legitimate contender.
All right, moving on to the last game of the Week 1 slate. We had the New York Jets flying out to San Fran for the 49ers. A rough season opener for them. But, Mazz, I'm not even worried. But I'll let you kick things off.
I'm just going to say this. Offensive line, spectacular for San Francisco. I don't want to hear about anybody else. Yes, Mason stepped up, and they fed him more times than they've ever fed anybody in a Shanahan offense. And he did great. But why did he do great? Because the offensive line quite literally dominated the line of scrimmage. There was holes all over the place, and blocking was phenomenal. Now, passing game, I got some question marks because Brandon Ayuk does not look good. Not being with the team, I think definitely hurt him. They're going to wait for him to get back into scale. Brock Purdy looked all right. Debo, really showed that when McCaffrey's not there, I can be that guy, and that's much needed of them. Kittle was all right, but San Fran is coming.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, dude, they're here. They've been here.
No, I mean, like, they're coming for a Super Bowl, right? They did that against that Jets defense without McCaffrey. Good God. And let's talk about the defense. It was just as good as the offensive line. Rodgers' interception, not on him at all.
It was unlucky.
But it was a hell of a play, though, to tip that ball on defense. I mean, everywhere I turned, I thought San Fran on defense looked phenomenal, and I love their offensive line. For the Jets, dude, it's game 1. I'm not worried about them. But I knew that they weren't going to be ready against San Fran, with all due respect.
All right, so before you say that, let's take it back to 7 o'clock Monday night when you FaceTimed me with the McCaffrey news, and you were like, I don't want to hear nothing when they win, yada, 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 yada. And what did I say, Mazz? What did I say?
I said if they win, not when they win.
You seem pretty, I don't want to hear nothing.
I'm going to be honest. It's just Christian McCaffrey being out of my lineup absolutely killed me for the week. I got dominated, and if he would have played and I would have just made one other move, I would have won the week in fantasy.
You mean you didn't swap Mason in for McCaffrey?
No, I did.
And it wasn't enough to win you the game?
No.
That's crazy.
We got dominated, dude.
All right, never mind.
Because my wide receivers did nothing. But even so, I mean, Mason had a good game, but I think he only got me like 21 fantasy points. I think McCaffrey would have got a ton. And you know what? And here's another thing too, right? If McCaffrey, where they went to that end around with Debo?
Yeah.
McCaffrey they give that right to McCaffrey. They don't call that.
Yeah.
So it's like it still took away from what McCaffrey would have been, even though he was amazing, and that's exactly what you could hope for when your starting running back goes down for a guy to have that kind of a day that he did, But like I said, the Jets are going to be fine, though, right? If I'm Jets fans, like, I'm not even worried. It didn't even look that bad, Like, yeah, it wasn't great. It didn't look like the defense. I'm sorry, Sauce kind of looked a little afraid of Debo. He was not as aggressive as we've seen him to be. There's a little concerns, but I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. The Aaron Rodgers experiment is over. We're going nowhere. Like, dude, there's no chemistry. Let it build up a little bit. Offense is going to get going. They played a top 3 defense in the NFL who right now looks like number 1 to me.
Yeah, so I'm not worried at all. In fact, I was actually smiling from ear to ear the entire game, to be honest with you. Okay, maybe not from ear to ear the entire game, But I was enjoying myself watching the Jets play football with a competent quarterback. I haven't seen that in my life, dude. That was unreal. Are you kidding me? To watch a full-length football game with a quarterback that knew what he was doing back there behind the line of scrimmage? It was phenomenal. Now, there are some things where I was a little concerned. Nathaniel Hackett still seems too involved in the offense. I want him gone, dude. The Jets were looking to replace him this past offseason. Didn't come to fruition because he's Aaron Rodgers' guy. And on the first drive of the game, you saw that was a Nathaniel Hackett drive. That was play for play, word for word, bar for bar, what the Jets did on every drive last season with Zach Wilson. Run, pass on 3rd and long, and 3 and out. That was the first drive. BS. After that, Rodgers took over. He was changing the plays at the line of scrimmage. You saw whenever the Jets were on offense, he got the offensive line set. He got the whole offense set at like 20 seconds to go in the snap count or in the play clock, and then he took the rest of that time to diagnose and assess the defense, and he would make the changes that were necessary to keep the ball moving. I'm concerned about Nathaniel Hackett. He's got to go. Okay. Hopefully.
I've been calling for that.
Me too. We've both been calling this for the last 2 years.
Yep.
Number 2. Was worried about the pass rush. The Jets traded, they traded John Franklin Myers at the end of the draft last year for a 6th-round pick. It was essentially just a salary dump, but he was a very important piece to the defense. He was a great edge setter in the run game. Big guy up front can make tackles, and you saw that on Monday night when the Jets couldn't tackle nobody for shit. Bryce Huff is gone now too. That's another pass rusher down. Hassan Reddick, still not here. Joe Douglas, get on the phone, call his agent, let him know you'll give him a raise this year. Do not extend him because I don't want to see him in a Jets uniform next year, but we need him right now because there was no pass rush presence for the Jets Monday night. All they had to do was key in on Quinnen Williams, and that was it. And Jermaine Johnson couldn't get off the edge. The undrafted free agents they kept around because they knew that Reddick was going to be holding out. Couldn't get off the edge. It was very lackluster from the Jets. Linebackers looked good. Yeah, Sauce actually got pulled from the game at the end of the first half because they weren't happy with his effort in the run game. He was not getting off his blocks. He was not trying to key in on Jordan Mason and making these tackles. And you saw it. Although that did cost the Jets dearly because right after he came out of the game, Brock Purdy started going at Brendan Eccles, who replaced Sauce on those few plays where he came out, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty. The only thing I think that really cost the Jets this game was from 10 minutes to go in the second quarter to 5 minutes to go into the third. Aaron Rodgers touched the ball once, and it was on a kneel down at the end of the first half. The Niners, like you said, Mazz, dominated the line of scrimmage on both offense and defense. They controlled this game from beginning to end. The Jets had a chance to come back in. That's when the tip pass got intercepted, and that kind of closed the door. But watching this game, the house is not falling apart. I'm not concerned. I always said this was going to be a good litmus test to see where we're at. We're not there yet. We're not with the big guys yet. The Niners said, you guys need a bit more seasoning and time in the oven to cook because
got to marinate.
You're not ready to ride with the big boys just yet. But there's plenty of time. If Rodgers had looked terrible, like if he had looked like Kirk Cousins did for the Falcons, if things were just falling apart, I'd be concerned. But I got confidence that the defense can turn it around. I got confidence that the offense is going to click the more game time they get together. The Jets are going to be just fine.
Allen Lazard looked good.
He had a drop early on, but other than that, 2 touchdowns.
Compared to what he was last year?
Yeah, yes.
I'm not going to lie. I was fully prepared to open up the show trolling you because Zach Wilson against Buffalo week 1 last year, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Yeah,
a little less passing yards. Very kind of looked like the same thing. I was fully prepared for it. But I was like, you know what? We're not going to go there right now because it's definitely not the same offense. What happened to Mike Williams, I believe?
He played a few snaps. They're kind of easing him back in because he didn't do any preseason. He didn't even start practicing till like fully practicing till the last week of training camp. He's probably getting a little eased in off that ACL surgery. So
yeah, you get that back into the mix. I would actually like to see them hit Breece Hall on a little more screen action. Get him the ball in different ways.
Breece Hall had his first fumble since his rookie season.
Yep.
Which was crazy. He didn't fumble at all last year. So it is what it is. But
yeah.
That was week 1. Maz, a almost perfect 14-2. And myself, a not-so-perfect 10-6.
Dude, you know what, though? Even going 10-6, give yourself credit. You know?
It's not good enough.
But I'm not going to lie to you, dude. 14-2, I don't think I've ever had a week that good in my life.
Well, it looks like I'm going to have to do my best to pick up some get back here because being down 4 games already off of week 1 is not looking good for me. But
you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't the week to make up games either, buddy.
No, it's not.
There is clear matchup winners, I believe. And if you want to roll the dice, that's on you. But I was looking at it and went, oh, man, like, this is going to be a rough week for Charlie to try to come back. I'm not saying you're not going to come back. I know you're going to give me a run for my money. Just this is not the week just because, like, I don't think this is the week to take risks. I mean, there is clear difference in it. Before we get to those real quick, I got 2 minutes I need real quick to rant about FanDuel. Because I was just thinking 14-2. I wish I threw some money on these games on Sunday. I threw money on the Thursday night Ravens game. I had Pacheco to score a touchdown anytime with Derrick Henry, and I had a Ravens win. I had a no sweat on that. The wording from FanDuel can kiss my you-know-what. All right? Because they said no sweat with a refund maximum of $5. And I took that as, oh, it's a no sweat. I can get that money back if I lose, but that $5 refund is what I can take out of my bank. I have to use the other rest on their site. I had no clue. I feel like a schmuck for it. I talked about it with Aunt Cafone, who, like, I was like, listen, like, I read it verbatim how, like, their legality word was it, and he agreed with me that that's not entirely on me, right? If you're not, like, an avid sports gambler, right, you're not going to fully get it. Like, they're absolutely taking advantage of some new people out there. And I'm a guy who's been around this for a bit, you know, like, I'm not used to ever having, like, any insurance on, like, a bet, but, like, I was very confused on how they worded that. And, dude, like, for the love of God, just say, hey, if you lose, we're going to give you $5, not this freaking, oh, here's our lawyers hitting you with a couple of language to where it's going to confuse you a little bit. Like, I'm not going to lie. When I saw that, I went, okay, I think I'm just going to use this $5, try to bank up a little bit, and then I'm deleting the damn app and DraftKings can get my business because y'all just pissed me off with that. And then I got help from I literally had to get help from their support, right? To be like, can you just explain this to me? Because the way that this is worded, like, I'm not getting it. And even, like, the person was like, it's already in your account. Like, it just, I maybe it was just me and my emotions, but I read it kind of it being, like, just, like, a little, like, snarky, where it's just like, yeah, idiot, it's already there. Like, okay, but can you explain what exactly it is, because I'm not understanding it. And then she sat there, she broke it down, but, like, I don't know, dude. I just felt like she was kind of being, like, a dick, to be completely honest with you. I just got problems with that. Just make things more simple, you know? I don't want to be hit with all this legality words of, it's like, maximum refund, blah, 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 blah. Like, bro, break it down for me. Just tell me what I'm gonna get. It literally made it seem, when you use the word refund there, that made it seem like that's what I can get back into my bank account, not what you're going to give me back. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just had to complain about it. Thank you.
Me personally, I'm a DraftKings guy, but that's only because FanDuel does not verify me for some reason. I don't exist to them as a person. I don't know. I don't get it. They don't accept my social security number when I try to verify my identity. But honestly, after what you just said, fine by me. I'll stick with DraftKings. That's whatever. FanDuel, you know what I'm saying?
I like FanDuel, dude. I think they're a decent app. I didn't like that, you know? And I've used them before. I actually saw my stats for, like, all the times that, like, I've used them. I'm plus 240. Won another $8. So I'm plus 248 all the time using them. But I just didn't like that.
All right. Well, if you want to put some bets down this weekend, we're about to make some picks now. So
let's hit it.
Let's see what's on the slate. Ready? Thursday night. Jeez, I'm sorry. I've been all, like, weird. I don't know. Thursday night we got Buffalo at Miami. Miami's a 2.5-point favorite at home against Buffalo.
Okay, give me Miami.
So there we go. For our first split, I'm taking Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Buffalo is not the same team they were last year that beat Miami in Miami. Yep. But I think Josh Allen still has what it takes. I think the defense will be able to do just enough to slow the Dolphins' offense down. And yeah, I'm taking Buffalo.
I could be inclined to go with you, but I know that Josh Allen has that hand injury, and I'm afraid of it, so I'm going with Miami.
I forgot about that.
I'll let you switch right now.
I even mentioned that. You know what? I'm not going to switch right now, but I reserve the right to switch up until tomorrow. Tomorrow at 8:00.
All right, fine.
All right, moving onward. This one's a bit more of a slam dunk. Raiders at Baltimore. The Ravens are going to be pissed off about last week. They think they should have won that game. I think they're going to take that frustration out on the Raiders. I'm taking Baltimore all the way. They're 9-point favorites at home.
Ravens going to flock all over them.
Yeah. Another relatively easy one. We got the Saints at Dallas. Dallas' home opener. You know, that place is going to be rocking Jerry's world. Another easy slam dunk. I'm taking Dallas.
Absolutely, Dallas, and I think Dak balls out this game.
Yeah, I don't think that the Saints defense is not going to have what it takes to slow down the Cowboys offense. I think you'll see your first big booming performance out of Dak and CD on the 2024 season. We're taking the Cowboys.
New contracts, baby.
New contracts.
Michael Parsons getting done at the end of the season. Let's go.
So now this one's a bit more interesting. There's some layers to this. We got the Niners at the Vikings. The Vikings were able to pull off the upset last year, if you recall. The Niners started like 5-0, something like that in the season, and they suffered their first loss to the Vikings on Monday Night Football. But that was Kirk Cousins. This is Sam Darnold. Maz, anything different here this time around?
A broken clock is not going to be right twice a day this time. San Francisco's going to dominate. Great. They got it done last year. There's trap games, right? And yes, maybe this could be, quote unquote trap game. Not happening week 2. All right. They're not cruising just yet. They're still young. They're still hungry right this second. I saw George Kittle on Scott Van Pelt show right after Monday Night Football. He was talking about it. Everybody's back. We got leaders. We're hungry. We want to come after it. They showed it in that Jets game. I think they're going to definitely show it in week 2.
All right. Chargers at Panthers. Taking the Chargers.
Oh, dude, give me Carolina. Never. Give me Carolina. Never. Absolutely not. Not happening.
You had
not
me in the
this
first
season.
half.
I know I did. I know I did, but absolutely not. Give me the Chargers all day. I'm sorry, Carolina. Listen, like I said, no foundation.
Yeah.
Concrete poured in the wrong spot. They're not even in the right location. I don't even think they know that they're in Carolina right now. All right, they're on Mars.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The Chargers at least have like an identity of some sort. So they're going to run the ball. The Panthers, they're figuring themselves out still. And
you know what their identity is? Competency at the top.
Yeah. And Dave Canales has not shown any shred of competency yet. Although that remains to be seen. He's only coached one game so far, so we'll see. All right, we got the Colts heading to Green Bay to take on Malik Willis and the Packers. I'm taking Indy. I don't think Malik Willis is going to be good enough to pull this one out, or Sean Clifford for that matter, if Malik Willis happens to get benched/hurt.
I don't even know who Sean Clifford is. I'm not even going to act like I know who that is.
He was the Penn State quarterback for a couple of years, and now he's with the Packers.
Good for him, man.
All right, Seahawks at Patriots. I'm taking the Seahawks in this one. This one's a bit of a toughie. The Patriots did look decent against the Bengals last week. Their defense, like you said, Mazz, when we were breaking that game down, looks solid. Gerard Mayo's got that group playing good. Still don't trust the offense. I think the Seahawks will have enough offensively and defensively to keep the Patriots down. I'm taking the Seahawks in this one.
Yeah, I thought about the Patriots because, dude, I really was impressed with that defense. But then I thought again, T. Higgins did not play. There is a downgrade at running back in Zach Moss playing for the Bengals than opposed to Joe Mixon. I like Seattle's running game. I like their passing game. I don't think it's great because, Geno Smith still makes some questionable decisions, but he's been known to get the job done with this resurgence in his career, and I'm going to keep on riding that wave, and I'm rocking with you with Seattle. All
right, we got the Jets going down to Tennessee, and I will also be going down to Tennessee. I will be at that game on Sunday.
Lil's going to be at that game.
No way.
Swear to God.
Really?
He's hopping on a plane today. He's going down to chill in Nashville for a little bit. Y'all should link up.
Definitely. I'm not going until Saturday, but I'll shoot him a text. That's awesome.
Word.
But, I'm taking the Jets. This is their get-right game here. Tennessee, still young, still trying to figure out what they're going to do. Will Levis, I think the Jets' defense could probably eat him alive. And then Aaron Rodgers and the offense will be able to do what they want to do against that Titans defense.
Even with the missing pieces that you've talked about for the Jets, I still think they're better with those missing pieces than Chicago is on defense. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to continue to take another step forward. I actually think we're talking 3 touchdowns this week for him. I think Garrett Wilson's going to find the back of the end zone. I think everything's just going to look better and more competent, and as long as Nathaniel Hackett has no say, the Jets will continue to build up that side of the ball. Give me the Jets.
All right, a rematch of the NFC divisional playoffs last year. Tampa Bay Buccaneers hopping on a plane to Detroit, Michigan to play the Lions. Maz, what do you say?
I want to take Tampa so bad.
Me too, dude, because
I want to take Tampa so freaking bad. I love this team. I'm not saying they're winning a Super Bowl, so stop trying to come at me with that. Just because I know that I'm kind of hyping them up, but I love it. I love Mike Evans. He's one of my favorite receivers. I know he's a hothead, but that guy will do anything to win a game. And after that catch that I saw him have against Washington, where that looked like pass interference to me, and he still was able to bring that in. And, Baker's playing with a swagger and a confidence, and Chris Godwin looks competent. I will be rooting with my heart and soul for Tampa, but I know Detroit's going to win this game.
Yeah, I'm really tempted to because so last week I followed my heart on 2 picks. The Chiefs and the Ravens. I said I think the Chiefs don't lose a back-to-back home opener. And then I also said the Rams are going to get some revenge on the Lions from last year's playoffs. I'm going with the Lions as well. I just think they have a better overall team. And even though I believe in that revenge, moxie, and mojo, Tampa Bay does not have enough to match what Detroit's putting out offensively. So.
Yeah. The Rams were the litmus test, I think, for against Detroit, which I don't really love their secondary defense.
It's
but
very young, very young.
Yeah, I mean Cooper Kupp did his thing, Puka going down, but I still think the Rams have a good passing game. I don't think Tampa's passing game is that much worse or better. I think it's around the same caliber personally.
Wow.
No, I said it. I said it. It's. I think the Rams have the better when they're healthy. But here's the thing, you don't think that Baker Mayfield's gonna have a slightly better day as long as Evans and Godwin are there because Nakua went down. So that passing game is going to be similar, is what I'm saying. I think the Rams have the better passing game when healthy. But right now, where it stands, I think that they're going to be a much more even. And Detroit got it done the first time against the Rams. I think they're going to get it done against Tampa. But just know, I want to be wrong on this game. I will be rooting Tampa like they've never been rooted by somebody who's not an official fan of their fan base before, except for those Tom Brady haters when they were in the Super Bowl. So at you, Charlie. I'm looking at you on that one.
All right, give me a break. So we're picking winners, straight winners here. But the spread is Detroit's favored by a touchdown. I like Tampa Bay to cover that spread at the minimum.
I might actually have to take that one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I might be hopping on that. You want to throw down money together, buddy? We'll split it.
Squad ride. Let's do it.
A little squad ride. Let's see what happens.
I dig it. All right. The New York Giants heading down to Washington to take on the Commanders. You laugh.
Oh, take them! I want you to.
I think I'm taking the Giants.
Take them, please.
All right. Okay. So can I explain myself real quick?
Yeah.
So what more Giantsy of a thing to do to instill an iota of hope in their fan base than to come off this disappointing, horrific performance against the Minnesota Vikings in their home opener, and then they go down to Washington and beat the rookie quarterback-led Commanders, and the Giants fans are back. Wild card, wild card, wild card. I think the Giants have heard enough disrespect the last week and enough slander and hate that they're going to be able to pull this one off in Washington. They might burn me in 2 weeks in a row. I'm going with the Giants.
Buddy, they're going to continue to burn you. I don't know why you're trusting in that at all. I mean, the Commanders were still able to throw up 20 points on Tampa. Listen, I don't think I'll take the Giants the entire year. It's just not happening. I'm willing to bank on this rookie quarterback who's not going to be running the ball as much as we saw him in week 1. They're going to let him throw it more. And yes, the Giants defense, I think it's going to be better for sure. But I also think that hunger and that fire means that their offense is going to be taking even more risks and they're going to be trying to force more shenanigans that it's just not going to fall to them. I hate both these franchises, but give me the Commanders.
All right, so we got a split there. Next up, this could be another split here. We got Cleveland Browns at Jacksonville Jaguars. It's tough. It's kind of a tough one.
God.
I know.
Give me the Jaguars.
Okay. I'm taking the Browns.
Were you just waiting to see who I took and took the opposite there?
No, I wrote down Browns before as I was asking you that question.
Yep.
I'm expecting a bounce back week for the Browns. The defense will step back up, and I think the offense can do just enough because I think the Cowboys defense is also better than what people give it credit for.
Sure.
I think this game is a get-right game for Cleveland. Watson's not going to play amazing, but they're going to do just enough to pick up the win against a Jacksonville team that I just don't trust.
Yeah, I don't trust Jacksonville, but I think I don't trust that Cleveland offense. To be honest, I'm strictly taking this because of location. Playing down in Florida again early in the season, it's hard to do. I think Jacksonville faced a better offense than what they're going to be facing this week in Miami. Yeah, this is strictly because they're home. I'm going with Jacksonville.
Moving onwards, we have the Rams at the Cardinals. As we talked about, the Rams are facing quite a bit of injury, bad luck right now. Cardinals coming off a gutting. What's the word I'm looking for?
They got gutted. They got gutted towards the end of that game.
I mean, they got. I guess you could say that, but they played hard. They played hard. So it's going to be a tough game regardless. It's only a 1-point spread. It's a pick 'em. Although I lean Rams just because I think the consistency there with Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp is going to be enough to take down the Cardinals. Because besides Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison and McBride, they don't have much going on there defensively or offensively.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and it's strictly because Josh Allen was able to use, Shakir to get into the end zone. I know Matt Stafford's going to be able to use Cooper Kupp to get into the end zone. I still question that pass defense. I think Marvin Harrison could be the game where we see him actually have some highlights. But I think the Rams are going to be too much.
All right, moving on to two AFC Titans clashing. An AFC Championship rematch between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. Mazz, this is a tough one too, I think.
Nope.
No?
Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Don't even want to talk about it. There's nothing to talk about. T. Higgins isn't going to be playing, right? Jamar Chase still looking for his contract. Not loving the Bengals. They get overhyped. I'm sorry. I like Joe Burrow. Seems like a cool guy. I also think he's overhyped. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. I think he's, somewhere in that 5 to 6 range. Still, even though he's been kind of like trending down last season and this first game. But yeah, he's going to be all right. But it's the Chiefs. They look dominant on a Thursday night against the Ravens. They're going to smoke them.
And they're at home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs as well. All right. Pittsburgh at Denver. Steelers. Do we have any update if Russell Wilson's playing or not? Is it going to be the Justin Fields show again?
I saw that he's trying to come back, but they're preparing Justin Fields and operating as if he's the starter. Doesn't matter if he is or not. I'm taking Pittsburgh. That defense is elite, and
100%.
They are going to make it even harder than what Bo Nix saw in his first game.
T.J. Watt might saw him in half this weekend.
I hope not. But I do know that he's definitely going to have, I'm calling it 2 sacks at least for TJ.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Because that Broncos O-line isn't all that great either. And Nix, he was holding the ball way too long on Sunday against the Seahawks, and he's gonna feel it.
He's gonna have less time.
Yeah.
Than what he had against Seattle. And Seattle was no slouch, but they're not Pittsburgh on that side of the ball.
Mm-mm. So Sunday Night Football this week is the Bears at Texans. I don't know why they put this game on Sunday night over Chiefs Bengals.
I know why. I know absolutely
Stroud
why.
and Caleb, I guess, but
that's it. They thought that the rookie kid, that's it. But the Bears can finally be in prime time.
But Mahomes and Burrow.
I'm with you. Okay, but they wanted the two teams that don't get all the time in the world like the other ones have, right? They went, hey, we could get 2 fan bases engaged. We could have a nice young quarterback shootout, but that's on Caleb to step up. Because the Texans are winning this one.
Yeah. I know it was only week 1. It's a small sample size, but it's not gonna drastically change that much from one week to another. So nope. I'm expecting another offensive struggle from the Bears. At least just still having some rough spots. But yeah, the Texans should win this game comfortably.
They're gonna be facing a harder defense than what they just did. I mean, I think the Texans defense is way better than Tennessee's. That's just me personally.
I agree. I'm with you. All right, and finally, Monday Night Football, the Falcons head to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles.
Oh,
I think we all know how Kirk Cousins fares in Philadelphia on Monday nights early on in the season. I think this is also another easy Eagles pick.
This could be Kirk Cousins' birthday on a leap year with a lucky horseshoe in his back pocket, and it's not going to go his way, man. I'm sorry. The Eagles are going to dominate this game. Saquon might actually end up hitting 200 yards. I think that they're just going to dominate both sides of the ball for me. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to hate on Atlanta. I want to like Atlanta
Me
so
too.
bad.
I want to. I like Atlanta, but they don't have what it takes to beat a team like Philadelphia, and they have Kansas City next week. That's going to be another shellacking.
Absolutely. What were people thinking that they were going to win this division? Stop this. Stop this. Sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. It wasn't just you though.
It's a long season. It's a long season.
It wasn't just you though. I saw every major pundit out there be like, "Yeah, Atlanta winning this division easily." Forget about Tampa, and then as much literally just like I flip a coin. All right, that's how fast they flipped. When it was just like, oh, week 1, there's the struggles. Oh, it didn't look good against Pittsburgh. And Tampa actually looked really, really good against the Commanders. Now, all of a sudden, everybody's loving Tampa. Y'all weren't loving Tampa before. Knock this off. I'm the only one on record who was loving this team.
I'm not flipping back
except
just
for their
yet.
fan base.
I'm still sticking with my Atlanta to win the division pick. It's a long season. There's a lot of games left. Kirk could regain some of his mobility and some of his pre-Achilles form. Remains to be seen, but it's still possible.
Tampa wins this game, though, in Detroit. You flop it instantly? Yeah.
Okay.
Respectable. I respect you being 100 about it, buddy.
So for week 2, we only have 3 different picks, 3 different games. I picked the Bills. You picked the Dolphins for Thursday night. I picked the Giants. You picked the Commanders for Sunday at 1 o'clock. And I picked the Browns. You picked the Jaguars. Other than that, everything else down the board the exact same.
Dude, you're lucky I'm not a bad guy. What if I just went you know what? I actually like to switch with you, and I'm just going to keep this 4-game lead the entire time. Just absolutely.
That'd be pretty rude.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm standing by my picks. It is what it is. The only one I am considering probably switching is Cleveland, but I'm already locked in, so it is what it is. And, hey, listen, if you catch me and put it within 1 game, you deserved it, buddy.
We'll see about that. Excited for week 2. Mazz, another great show. NFL season is really actually 100% back in full swing, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Real quick, dude, for anybody that's watching out there, the video version of this now on Spotify, shout out Charlie for that, or whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever else, we did change up the look a little bit, trying to bolster the resumes. We're trying to look a little more professional out here. Charlie, you look dapper as ever. I was just made for turtlenecks. It just goes with the bald look, I think, perfectly. Chain overwards, and I've never really been a collar shirt kind of guy, mainly because I'm on the larger side of life, and I don't like how the button always sticks out a little bit, so, but let us know what you think. I know this isn't the laid-back look, but I think it's still the same show. We're just wearing, nicer clothes. Let us know what you think.
It just looks nicer.
I think so.
Presentation is key.
A little more studious, whatever. I don't think studious was the right word there, but...
Quite.
No matter what we're wearing, it's still going to be 2 schmucks talking football, so... Or basketball, or whatever big news that we feel is...
Whatever time of year it is.
Worthy, we're going to be talking baseball in a little bit, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
So we'll see what happens. But, Charlie, thank you for another episode. I can't believe we already had 11 in the books. This is 12. This is the TB12 episode.
This is 11.
Oh, this is 11?
Yes.
Damn. See, schmucks don't even know what episode we're on here. I've just been along for the ride. Thank you for steering this ship. Thank you for allowing me to come on here and just, be this chaos.
Here, how about we both stand up and show what we got?
You've been showing off the shorts that I've been wearing while we're trying to look. You're in sweatpants. Hey, listen, you know what? That's the point of this new age right now, baby. Who's staring at my kneecaps? No one,
Nobody.
because you can't see it, you know. But we're getting there.
You have been listening to the Mazz and Bad Show with Brandon Marrazzo and Charlie Baduini.